And so hopefully this is some encouragement to you when you're doing your gigs, when you're doing your video shoots, whatever camera work you do, and you can kind of like reflect and do better the next time, because it's not.
I feel a wave coming on. Feel a wave coming on. They wanna know what we on.
Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Freddy Davis III with Undrafted Media Group. Glad to see you here. This is UMG Takeaways. Just going over things that I've had the opportunity to be a part of as far as events, filming, and different type of footage that like gigs and stuff like that I was a part of. So in this episode 1, I'm starting this one because this is going to be like the new year, so it's going to be year 2 for UMG. So we're so excited. UMG was started December 15th of 2021, and we had the opportunity to do a gig for artist Crystal Nicole. Shout out to Crystal Nicole. We did this video shoot on December 16th, so that was 2022, this year, just yesterday. Actually, I'm just going over some of the great things that we did, some of the great things that I believe was done well, and then we're going to break down the things that I can do better to improve, and it's a reflection. And so hopefully this is some encouragement to you when you're doing your gigs, when you're doing your video shoots, whatever camera work you do, and you can kind of like reflect and do better the next time, because nothing is ever going to go as planned. There's always going to be some kind of adversity, and so that's what makes us better. That's what makes us grow. That's what makes us evolve. So we're going to get into this and hopefully enjoy it. So let's start with the basics, right? I got the location. I arrived on time. I was there early, so that was a good thing, and I basically was the first one on site, so that was great. Second was my communication with the manager, artist manager, and shout out to Jeremiah. Communicated well throughout the whole thing, even beforehand, just trying to get a rundown of what kind of shots they're looking for and time, what I'm saying, when you go over how long you're going to be there, what they expect, come to get a flow of the whole condition of everything. So we did that. Communication was great. Man, this light is doing some numbers on my eyes right now. Now, at first, I wasn't going to bring my microphones, which I use my microphones to do interviews for UMG. So if you've seen some of the interviews that we have on this YouTube channel, you see the interviews that I use with the mic, right? Now, these mics aren't actually mine. Shout out to my friend, my homie, DJ Clinks. He let me use these mics, and I'm so thankful, because they help me do my interviews in a more fluent and crispier way, rather than just getting on this external microphone, which the external microphone I'm using is a Rode Micro Video external mic. Works great. It's the one that has a fuzzy cat or dead cat on the end of the microphone, so it's like a windscreen protector. But it works well. Like, I've used it for maybe 4 years now, and I did use it for my Canon camera, which I don't have anymore. Long story on that one. However, it's great. So if you're looking to invest in a great external mic, I would suggest using the Rode Micro Video mic. They're not paying me to say that, but it's a great tool. I've used it for quite some time now. So you should invest in it if you're looking for something like that. Back to what I was saying. I wasn't going to bring an XLR microphone or cable to this event. However, I'll just speak for myself. I always pray before going to these events. I always think about the artists. I think about if there's anything that could make it even better, or maybe I might need something. So what did I do? I listened to what the Holy Spirit said, and he said to bring these mics. So I brought the mics. I also brought my pod track, which helps record. It's a Zoom. It's this right here. It's the Zoom, if you can see it. And it helps record podcasts and different kind of interviews. That's why I got it, because of the interviews. Basically, So I'm linked in to the showcases that we do here at Arlington. And actually, we've been going to different states. Shout out to Prodigal. And what I've noticed is when we do the sound checks and the artists get up there and, check their microphone levels and stuff like that, I'm over there doing interviews. And I don't have any kind of sound booth or, anything to protect the volume of the songs while I'm doing these interviews. So you can hear, like, my first couple of times I only have my phone, and not, you start with what you have. You use what you have, and then you grow. And so I started with my phone, and I had some kind of, actually I didn't have any mic on it at first. And then I started to realize this might be an issue. And so I had this little external mic, and I attached it to my phone, thinking that could kind of, be a pacifier for me. And it helped a little bit. And then I realized, because Prodigal, he had his setup, and, he had his headphones, and he has these podcast mics, and he over there chilling. And I'm like, yo, I got to get something like that. So that's why I invested in this. I forgot how much it was. I think I spent maybe, I don't want to say. I'm not sure exactly how I spent. Maybe $250, maybe $300, something like that. But it's a really great investment if you're wanting to do interviews, wanting to do podcasts, and you're just trying to, portable, simple, not really complicated at all. I'm going to get into this later, though. Listen, we actually used them. They actually needed them. So when I got on site, we talked about the game plan, and they said, hey, do you happen to have any, because I told them about the interview, because Aldrin, shout out to Aldrin, he came to do the interview with Crystal Nicole, so I wasn't necessarily in the interview. I just brought my equipment so they could do the interview. And so I said, so they're interviewing, do they have mics? Do they, whatever. And I think it was Justin. Was it Justin? There's Jaden. I'm talking about the band members. There was Jaden. There was Jaden, Prince, and Justin. Am I saying his name right? If I didn't get the name right, I'm sorry. But it was Justin, as much as I can remember, that said, nah, man, we ain't got no, microphones or anything. So I said, well, wait a second. I brought some microphones. So I had those, and actually, he said that he needed it for the performance scene, right? So I had two microphones, and what they did was they used it for her vocals, for Crystal Nicole's vocals, and they also used it to pick up the guitar sound for, the guitarist. So it actually worked great. Another thing that was great, we were clear on what we were capturing. So when you're doing these gigs, when you're doing these events, when you're doing the footage, you want to make sure that you're communicating with the artists, the small businesses, whoever. That way you can be on the same page to get the correct footage that they need. Because I've learned, I'm still learning, but I've learned that what they want more important than what you want. When it comes to getting footage, now you can put your creative spin on it. You can put your input, which is great. You emphasize that to the artist or to the entity or to the business, the company. That's great. And if they, if you feel like, if you strongly believe, like, nah, fam, like, this footage needs to be like this, you emphasize that. You talk about that. Now in this case, they were pretty firm on what they wanted, right? So I was cool with it. I added my own feedback to a couple of things. But for the most part, we were clear on the flow. We were clear what we were capturing, so it went well. For the lenses I use, first of all, I have a Sony A7 III series, but the lenses that I used for this event was a 20G millimeter, and the FE is 1.8. So this is a great lens. I actually used it for my music video, Made It. That's featuring Jay Trax and Zay Hill. And that video is coming soon. And I'm going to do a debrief on that too, on the same thing. I use this lens for the majority of this video shoot. And so it worked well. The reason I used it is because the scene that we were at and the space where we at was really tight. When you see on these pictures, especially, if they're on Pier Space or some kind of rental property, and they make it seem bigger than what it actually is, But when you get into these scenes and you get into these settings, you realize that you may not have as much space as you thought you were gonna have. And so I rented this lens, and I do plan on getting this lens later next year in 2023. But I needed this lens because it was gonna capture the majority of the room. I do have a starting lens kit that came with the A7 III Sony, and this is it's a 28 to 70 millimeter lens, the starter kit basically, and it's great. This lens is phenomenal, man. I've used this lens for a majority of my video shoots and a majority of my content creation, so it's great. I'm still gonna use this lens. I'm just saying it's good to have a wide lens. I'm so glad I listened to the Holy Spirit to get this lens. So another thing that we learned is listen to what the artist and the company are trying to avoid, what shots they're trying to avoid. As far as I know, Crystal Nicole did communicate some shots that she wanted to avoid, and I believe I was successful in not shooting those shots. However, it's really up to the artist when they see the footage. So we'll see, but I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that it went well. I did pitch in some ideas as far as a setup for the location, not the location, the space. There was a big table that was really in the way, and I've just felt like I would need some more room to move in. And so we removed that table to give us more space for the performance. And also they kind of had to scoot their chairs back a little bit because there was a mirror there, and I didn't want to have any room for the mirror to be in the shot. So when y'all see the video, you'll probably know what I'm talking about if you do see that mirror in the video. The lighting, which I didn't type this in my notes, but the lighting was actually a decent lighting. It was at nighttime, so the ceiling that they actually had, the lights in the ceiling, they were decent. So I brought 2 extra lights, and actually these lights, one of them never worked. Like, not never, but one of them stopped working, right? And so I'm talking to Jeremiah on the phone about, like lights and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, let me see if my lights, I'll see if I can get some more lights. And so when I was looking at these lights that weren't working before, I plugged it in. Praise God, it started working. So I was definitely thankful for that. So the 2 lights I used in the video footage that we used, and you could see like the reflection of the light from the piano, so it was bouncing off the piano. You could also see me in that piano as well. So what we did was that top part of the piano, I don't know what you would call that, but we folded it so it wouldn't show as much reflection. It still shows some reflection, but it was not as noticeable. So we worked around that, and if I did have to pan that way, I made it pretty quick. That way you couldn't really tell unless you were like actually there. Another thing, as a videographer, I extended the time for my availability. So we originally it was going to be 7 to 9. They changed it from 6 to 8, which was cool. I got off work because this is not my full-time job yet. But they switched it to 6 to 8, so I was still cool with that because I was getting off work at 4:30. By the time 4:30 came, made my way. Once again, I prepared everything in hand to get to this location on time. So everything that I needed to pack, I packed it before I went to work. That's a tip. And once it had 4:30, hit 4:30, I came down to that location. Actually, I had to stop and I will get into this later. I had to stop to get some batteries, AAA batteries, AA batteries, and we'll get into that later. I made sure that I had everything ready for the gig, but I extended the time because they needed to do the interview still. So, like I said, it was going to be 6 to 8. However, we needed to like 9:30 or 9 o'clock to do the interview because the location that they had rented, they only had the space for 2 hours. And so we needed to extend it so we can do the interview. So I had no issues doing with that. I just wanted to make sure that, my time was compensated in a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like, hey, extra $25 is cool. So we did that. It was great. Worked with them. They worked with me. And we made it work, man. Communication. Just check on what people are looking for and what the expectation is. Which brings me to my next point. Be honest about your mess ups, okay? Be honest about, hey, this did not work this time. Let's do this again so we can get it right. The last thing you want to happen is something not go right, you not say nothing, knowing it didn't go right, and they come back and saying, hey, I thought you captured this footage. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't capture. Nah, fam. Check and be observant of your camera, your recording equipment, because something could go wrong. It's inevitable. Something is probably gonna go wrong. All right, 9 times out of 10, something's gonna go wrong. There was a couple times I didn't hit there was one time I didn't hit the record button on this Zoom pad, on this Zoom. All right, so make sure, just own up to your faults. It's all right. Just be honest. Listen, if you just be honest about these things, the artist, the company, the business, they'll appreciate that, and they'll appreciate you even more. Now, they may not be happy about it, but they'll appreciate you for being honest and saying something. Because it's better to say something then than wait until after the fact. So there was 2 times. It was one time in the video scenes that I had to pause and say, hey, we got to redo that. And thankfully, it was just like maybe a minute or 2 minutes into their performance scene. But I had some calibration issues with my gimbal. And so I had to, turn it off, turn it back on, and fix it. So it could capture, because it was lopsided and stuff. I'm like, nope, not on my watch. We ain't doing this. So anyways, be honest about it. Secondly, when we were doing this, my Zoom pod track stopped not once, y'all, but twice. I'm like, yo, and I'm worried about the camera overheating because it's like an interview. And I'm like, yo, come on, fam. So I had to change out the batteries, and then before I said, hey, yeah, we probably had some issues with it because we were using it in a performance. We weren't using it in a performance. I don't even know why I said that. Sometimes we be saying stuff just to say stuff. And then it dawned on me, no, Freddie, we didn't use that in a performance. What are you talking about, bro? So I'm thinking, it's the batteries. It has to be the battery. I haven't tested this theory, but y'all, let me tell you, I'm not gonna cap. Before I went to this event, I went to the 99-cent store, fam. The 99-cent store and got batteries. Fam, these super heavy duty batteries probably don't even work right. You know how long they were able to do this pod track, this interview thing? It seemed like it was shy under 10 minutes, and then it went off. I'm like, yo, is it really the batteries? So I'm gonna test that theory, and if it is, I'm not gonna go and get no batteries from 99-cent store anymore. No, I'm not doing it. Not risking that again. I've used this over 20 times, over 15 times, and I've never had any issues with it. I've always recorded with Energizer batteries. So it might be just the batteries that need to be better quality. So if you're doing anything video related, anything audio related, anything electronically, do not go to the 99-cent store. No shade to the 99-cent store. I get a lot of things from the 99-cent store, but batteries will not be one of them. You will not catch me. You will not get me again with that. I said what I said. All right, so another thing that I learned to do, the things that we did pretty great at. So after we did the interview, I did stay a little bit longer just to try to exchange the video footage, because I really wanted them to have the video footage right after the video shoot and after the interview. So I talked to Jeremiah beforehand, and I said, hey, if you can get like a USB or something that holds maybe 128 gigabytes, and I can exchange it to you, that way you can leave the scene and leave the hotel with the footage. So I wouldn't have to mess with Google Drive, because I've used Google Drive before and I use it quite often, and I've gotten really frustrated with it, because when I'm trying to send these files, it's like a long wait time, and then also the processing of these videos takes more time than it should. That's just my opinion. I'm still using it. If you find a better way to do it, let me know. But I've had to actually link up with different artists and also different businesses and stuff like that just to exchange footage, because Google Drive was taking like forever. And then when I'm using my laptop and bringing it back to this place and this place, it's not like sitting here consistently, where I can just upload, stuff. Like, I actually use my laptop when I go places, and so it's never in one place, and so you always need that Wi-Fi connection. So if you know something better to use, let me know. Put it in the comments below. So I had to do that, and I also had to reformat it, which, by the way, we ended up not exchanging the files because, one, the type of USB that he had, it didn't have enough gigabytes, which I could have still, transferred the files on there. However, it was going to take 2 hours. This is when I say, when you get our hard drive, please do yourself a favor. They're not paying me to say this, but I've been using this Lacey. I don't know if you can see this. This is Lacey. And Lacey is amazing. Y'all need to hook up with Lacey. Lacey needs to be dated, tested, marry Lacey, okay? Because Lacey get the job done. I found this out from artist Kayla Starks. She showed it on her on one of her social media platforms, and she talked about Lacey, which Lacey was not paying her. Lacey is not paying me either, but if you want a sponsorship, I'm willing to do it. Their USBs are amazing. Their hard drives are amazing. So what would have taken 2 hours to upload to the USB port thing that he had only took 12 minutes to upload to Lacey. So Lacey can read and write these files very quickly, and so you definitely need Lacey in your video content creation to exchange files and just to hold it's so sturdy. You see what kind of surrounding this is? Like, yo, this is dope. This is really good stuff. So make sure you get that in your arsenal. All right. The thing that I have an issue with, we're not into the things that I can do better at, which is only like 3. It's a couple. It's a few points. Not as long as the things that we did great at, right? But I use the A7 III, right? The Sony A7 III, and I love the camera. I love its functionality. I love the its capabilities. Its color grade is phenomenal. This is really getting at me. The overheating, y'all. When I tell you, I have trauma because I really have trauma because of this overheating thing. I've used it at multiple events, and I distinctly remember I was helping out with this podcast, and shout out to Shantae. I was helping out with a podcast, and this camera here had the nerve, had the audacity to overheat and shut off. Praise God. We had 2 other cameras on the side capturing the footage. Shout out to Divine Digital. All right, he was a part of the collaboration. And y'all just don't, and this was indoors. And I'm thinking, why is this overheating, yo? What did I do? This is in a cool spot. It's not like I'm not moving around outside. Like, I know it's Texas, but it ain't that hot in here. And so what I learned is this camera is not built for continuous shooting. You have to allow this camera to rest in between breaks, in between sets. And that's how I'm just approaching it. I'm like, yo, I mean, it's a love and hate relationship with this camera, okay? But thankfully we didn't get to the point where it overheated. The overheating sign did come on, and that's when the trauma kind of came back. And I said, what can I do right now? It's cold outside, so it's December. So, well, it's Texas. It could be cold in December and it could be hot in December. But it was cold at that point. And I went to my car in between shots and was in front of the AC in my car and just took off the lens and let the AC blow actually inside the camera so it can kind of cool down the systems. So I did that maybe 2 or 3 times during this shot after I saw that overheating sign. That man, when I see that overheating sign, I'm not gonna lie, man, I get concerned. I be praying in the spirit, like, please do not overheat. Please, Jesus, not on this set. Like, I want to make sure everything goes smoothly, and I don't want to be the reason why they can't get their footage, okay? So that was stressful. Out of everything in this whole thing, like, that was stressful. So they may not have seen it, but I was a little stressed. I was a little worried. You know what I mean? But thank God it went well. And we're going to talk about the things that we can do better, that I can do better at, and help prepare so this doesn't happen again. Google Drive was cooperative this time. So I was actually able to send over the files without any issues, any errors. It took 16 hours to send it, but they actually, like, usually for me, Google Drive, it gives you a certain number or hours of how long it's going to take for it to actually transport all the files. For me, I've had the experience where it would tell me that, then I would come back and nothing really has changed. And I'm like, what? It's been like 5 hours. Why are you not changing? And so this time, actually, it said the amount of hours, and it actually stayed true to the amount of hours. So let's give it up for Google Drive there. Let's give it up for Google Drive. They really set the tone on that one. So I appreciate Google Drive for that. I labeled each file, so every file was labeled correctly. I did behind the scenes 1, behind the scenes 2, behind the scenes 3, behind the scenes 4. I did the take 1 of whatever song that was being performed at that time. And, you know what I'm saying, just really very detailed on the file name, so they wouldn't have any confusion as far as like looking at the files or opening up the files or even the audio files that we did for the interview. So I made sure everything was labeled correctly, because as an artist, as a business, as a company, as an entity, I would want the same thing. Because I don't want to be roaming through footage. Okay, which one is this one? Which one is this one? This one is this one. Like, just have the labels filed so they have it for their arsenal, all right? Especially if they're, and I'm not saying don't do this if they don't pay you. I'm just saying, especially if they're investing in you, I'll say that. Because some people will invest in you and you have to, listen, return that. Like, do them a solid. You know what I mean? Like, just be very professional. Be thankful. And, you know, just treat it like if it was your own. So that's what I did. All right. We're getting to the things to improve on, all right? Once again, this is UMG Takeaways. Hopefully you find that this is helpful to you in your development and your growth with whatever video content that you're doing, so you don't have to repeat the same mistakes or even repeat these mistakes ever, okay? So the things that I was talking about and I feel like is a necessity, when we talk about the overheating sign, right? It only, like I said, it only appeared once. However, seeing this sign brought back flashbacks that I did not want to relive. And so I think for me, I'm trying to figure out solutions on how to avoid this happening. I could bring a cooling system, and which I don't even know what that is. I guess it's just the AC blowing on the camera. I could do that. I want to invest in another camera that does not have any overheating issues. Definitely a Sony. I don't know if it will be the A series, because I think the A7 IV doesn't have any heating issues. Something about it crops more about 4K and it brings it down to 10. I don't know. All right. That's why I got to do more research. So I would invest in another camera. Bring another camera with you. Bring two cameras with you. If I had another camera, I would bring it. My Canon, I actually should be calling about it because I left it in Arkansas couple months ago and I never followed up on it. Somebody probably has it already. So I just figured it's gone. And I need to be better steward of my stuff. So be better stewards of your stuff. Don't do what I did. Don't leave a camera. And I felt like, I think the reason I did that is because I had this Sony camera and I'm like, I'm not going to use the Canon. So it's so good. No, bro. It's your camera. You know how much that camera that costs? Like $300 something maybe. Listen, bro. No matter no matter how much you spend on your camera, treat it well. Keep up with it. Be a good steward of it, okay? Another thing that I learned is not to get 99-cent store batteries. Don't do that. It's a big no-no. Okay, we're a little bit grown up than that. We can go to Walmart. We can go to Target, Target. We can go to you can go to Sam's Club, Costco, you know, but don't go to 99-cent store. Don't go to Family Dollar. Anything with $1 attached to it, don't do it. Dollar General is a little different because they don't just sell, they sell quality stuff, but for a reasonable price. But even the batteries are the same price, I feel like, at Dollar General than Walmart. And I can't remember the last time I went to a Dollar General. Anyway. I didn't pick up as much behind the scenes footage as I would like. And the reason for that is I was steady catching the performance scenes and trying to figure out what the next performance scene was. And on top of that, trying not to have my camera overheat. So when you're doing continuous shooting, just remember the processing on your camera, it could make it overheat, especially if you use an A7 III Sony. So just be on the lookout for that. Be careful with that, okay? Just a reflection. I only use one battery for this whole event, which I actually bring about like 3 or 4 different batteries. Technically, I have 3 batteries right now because one of them got lost somewhere. I don't know. Actually, 2 of them, which I need to be better stewards of my stuff, okay? I'm telling on myself, okay? I'm telling myself a whole bunch. I only used one SD card, which was a 128 gigabyte card. I only used 70 gigabytes on it, which was great. But I also brought an extra 128 gigabyte card as well, just in case I need to use it. I brought extra lights. I brought 5 mini lights. They look like this. Mini lights. Really great lights, by the way. I used these for the first video shoot. Actually, not the first. The last video shoot I did with my song "Made It," featuring Zay Hill and Zay Tracks. So I used it on one of the scenes, which I'll cover that later. But these you can find them at Walmart for like $15, and they are great. They're not really bright, but they're pretty dope to have in the background somewhere. And if there's like a dark area and these are in it, you'll be able to see them. But they don't have like a lot of power. Next time, what I would like to do is bring another camera for the interview so they have a different angle. And because when we do the podcast for my friend Shantae for her next level, we actually use 3 cameras. And this next podcast that we're going to do, or the podcast shot, I'm going to actually have to rent another camera just so I don't use this camera as the main one. I don't want to trust and rely on this camera because I know it's going to overheat. And I hate to say that about this camera, but it's going to overheat if I continuously shoot 40-minute podcast interviews. Yeah, it's going to overheat, fam. Ain't no reason to be put in that position again. So I'm going to rent a different camera, a camcorder, and to take care of that. One thing I will say about these lenses, the lens that I used, if you are in the Dallas area and you happen to need any camera equipment, any lenses, any lighting, check out Aperturant. I think I'm saying that right. It's located in Addison. That's where I have been renting my lenses, and have I rented anything else? Just lenses there. Yeah, so they have a really good selection. Pretty well priced, reasonable. So y'all check them out. I think they rent them out for like 3 days or whatever like that. And if it's a holiday, you can keep it on the extra days on the holiday. That's a plug, right? That's a tip, boy. That's a tip. You can keep this mug for like 10 days for 3 days worth. You know what I mean? So make sure if y'all, hit them up and get whatever kind of lenses and stuff that you need for your shot. And just to test out lenses, test out things that you probably wouldn't invest in right away, but you want to eventually. So, we unpacked a lot today. It might be a lengthy video, but it's really good information to have. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Once again, this is UMG. My name is Freddy Davis III. We making plays. UMG Takeaways. Talk to you soon. Peace.
I feel a wave coming on. Feel a wave coming on. They